Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and I just wanted to take a minute or two to talk to you about some of the excuses for mistreatment that we receive from narcissists and other toxic people. Now, I want to preface this by saying this is not about saying these things to help someone understand you. This is about using these things to justify abusive, controlling, manipulative behavior, which unfortunately happens all the time. We want to stop accepting excuses for mistreatment or for someone's refusal to allow trust to be built in the relationship. These might look like I had a hard childhood, I've been cheated on in the past, everybody always lets me down, I've been abandoned by everybody in my life. Whether these things are true or not, they're never an excuse to mistreat other people or to make it impossible to establish trust in a relationship. In order to be fair to other people and to themselves, the person saying these things needs to heal more before entering into a relationship with somebody. This is something that is not talked about enough. Having a traumatic experience is not something that makes mistreating other people acceptable, even if it's not done intentionally or maliciously. It is not your responsibility to carry the responsibility for these things for somebody else, and it's not their responsibility to carry that for you. If someone is not healed enough, entering into another relationship is often just doomed from the beginning because they're just not ready. If someone is abusive or narcissistic, they likely won't heal, and these are just more excuses for unacceptable behavior because there's no healing on the horizon. This is just how they are. Either way, be cognizant of where you are in your healing so that you neither make these excuses nor accept them from somebody else. The idea that we have to accept mistreatment from someone to prove that we care or that we're going to somehow help somebody to heal by allowing them to harm us is false. That's false. Experiencing trauma and pain does not make somebody unable to treat others fairly or decently. It may, however, make them unwilling to do that. When someone expects you to accept distrust, abuse, manipulation, or anything else because of what somebody else did, that's a red flag. When someone explains harmful or exploitative behavior by stating that it's caused by a past experience, the only answer to this needs to be that they need to work on that more before being in a relationship. Expecting someone to put up with harmful, toxic, or manipulative behavior because of something somebody else did in some other relationship with them at some other point in time is not okay. It's not your job to be the whipping boy or girl while they work it all out and get to a place where they feel safer. Boundaries are very important here. Their pain is not more important than your well-being, regardless of what they or you or anybody else thinks. This is not a healthy dynamic ever. Allowing someone in pain to hurt you does not heal them. It only means that now you're hurt too. It doesn't prove you care about them either, because this person obviously does not understand what caring looks like. They only understand their own pain, and it's very obviously the only thing that matters. A drowning person will drown you as well if you jump in to save them because they're panicking, they're in survival mode. That's why they throw life preservers to people instead. Doing otherwise is just too dangerous. You will end up with 2 drowning people instead of 1. An injured animal that bites in fear does not understand you're trying to help them and doesn't care, really, right? It's also not healed by biting you. All that happens is now there's 2 injuries, right? People who refuse to trust or give in relationships are people who do not feel safe, and this includes narcissists. Even if it was your responsibility to fix this, which it's not, you can't help them with it anyway, regardless of what they think, regardless of what you think, regardless of what anyone thinks. You cannot do everything perfectly enough to magically erase somebody's trauma. This is work that they are going to have to do. And expecting you to carry any part of it shows that they do not understand that. The narrative from this kind of person is always the same. I don't feel safe enough to trust you yet. The problem is that they never will, because the problem is with them. They struggle enormously with security and attachment because they have unstable identities and because they can't bond with other people. In a healthy relationship, trust is built over time, and it's only damaged when one person harms the other person, either intentionally or unintentionally. With this type of person, that never happens. There's always a reason that trust cannot be built, or that they don't feel safe enough to risk that. They trust you no more now than they ever did, which is to say, they don't trust you at all. Everything you do can be seen as harmful and suspicious and suspect because they can't trust themselves and they constantly fear that they're going to be taken advantage of by other people. The problem is they believe that fixing that is your responsibility, not theirs. In a healthy relationship, trust that has been damaged can be rebuilt with effort and willingness on the part of all the people involved. In these relationships, there was never any trust to begin with, so there's nothing to rebuild. You're starting from zero every single day, and this never changes. They never learn what kind of person you are, but they don't care because it doesn't matter. They don't feel safe and they can't bond with you, so why bother, even if they could do it, which they can't. Your job in a relationship with this kind of person is to make a pathologically terrified, insecure, paranoid, suspicious, perpetually wounded individual who distrusts themselves and the entire world completely feel safe. And if you can't do that, then you have failed. It is ridiculous and unreasonable, totally unreasonable. Yet people push themselves to the point of exhaustion and insanity trying to do exactly that. It doesn't work. The problem is not that you cannot perform well enough to be trusted. The problem is that they do not know how to trust anybody, and they can't. They don't even trust themselves. Stop trying to prove your worthiness to anybody, but especially to somebody like this. You cannot love the pathology out of someone, and you cannot convince a pathologically insecure person that you're safe enough for them to trust. It's never going to happen. They will push you into your grave, insisting that it's your responsibility to squeeze blood from a stone. It's not. In the end, we want to stay away from people who address their own toxic or harmful behavior by explaining how you deserved to be mistreated. This is not okay. It is never okay. And a relationship with someone who does these kinds of things is never going to be healthy no matter what you do. It doesn't matter how healthy or strong you become, they are still the same. So I hope that clears a few things up for you. May the Great Spirit bless you. Have a beautiful day.